better hope they're not playing a B-plus football now. Because if you think they're playing B-plus, that's what they were a year ago. And that wasn't good enough. I think there's a lot of room for improvement with this football team. Okay? I do. I think there's a lot of room. But here's a number I'm going to give Garry before he comes on here. In the last 18 games, Hurts has 23 turnovers. Okay? You're not going to be a championship football team turning the football over. Let's bring in our friend from Fox 29, former Eagle himself. It is Garry Cobb. And Garry, that number that I just threw at you, I mean, look, they get to win. They fought for it. Green Bay, they did everything. I mean, I say this, Garry, they probably won that football game in the first 10 minutes by holding them to 6 instead of 14. So just some of the takeaways for you on what you saw this past Friday with the Birds.
Well, of course, it starts with Jalen. That's not winning football. You play, if he plays like that, most times they're gonna lose the game. And you said it in that the defense saved them because they would have been down 14-0 right from the start. Where you come out right away and you've been hit, and all of a sudden you're down 14-0. Normally you don't win those games. And so the defense did a good job of keeping them out of the end zone and keeping the Eagles in the game. Of course, the interception at the end how you throw that ball? I mean, I know looking back, they said, A.J. Brown slipped, or he probably would have prevented the interception. But still, you got 3 guys there, and they're all, there by A.J. So chances are that they're going to come down with the ball rather than he's going to be able to. And then you got to look at the situation and realize, look, we kick a field goal, we're up by 8. We don't need to push. And this is the thing that Jalen's got to think from now on. I don't think there's more talent on one offense in the NFL. I mean, they got talent. So you don't need – it's like you're playing basketball and you got Michael Jordan and who else? And LeBron. They're on the same team. You're the point guard. You're going, look, I just got to give these guys the ball and let them – we're going to win this game. But the only way we lose this game, if I'm doing something, I'm trying to force stuff. He doesn't need to force anything. They're going to score 30-some points if he will just take what's there. Against most defenses, it's going to take an exceptional defense that's putting pressure on them somewhere to stop them because they got so many guys that get open, so many guys that can take over a game. Add in Saquon to it. And so Jalen has got to go into the game knowing, look, I'm going to take what they give me. I'm going to take care of the ball. I don't need to force anything. I'm just going to let these guys do their thing. Goes into a game like that, they're going to score enough points to win most of their games. So he's got to go in with that mentality. Now, Saquon, I wasn't that shocked. I'm sitting out there looking at him. I've seen him as a player. I know you add all these other guys. He didn't have these guys up in New York. When everybody's playing the Giants, they go, look, put 10 guys in the box. We're not going to let Saquon beat us. We don't care about these other guys. They don't have, these other guys aren't that good. He's not in that situation now. He's with guys like A.J. Brown. Boom, he catches the ball. He's gone, man. You miss a tap. Devontae Smith. Man, I think so much of him. As slim and skinny as he is, son of a gun is tough, man. These are the guys they got on the team. So they've got so many weapons. I mean, these guys, and I see them out there working, man. They got guys that work. A.J. Brown, Devontae, and those guys, they're not yet. They're over there working, and they're ready. And so you can't say enough about those guys. And Jalen's got to know, and this is great for him in this game, in that they won the game despite that. I don't need to force anything. We can go ahead and punt. We're going to score on those other times because the few defenses that are going to be able to deal with all these weapons. So they got to just go out and play their game. Now, offensive line, I like the job that Becton did. Pleased with him. I mean, he could be another where he's a force in there where he's got a tough matchup and he dominates. So I really feel good about the offense and everything. Defensively, I saw some good things. Look, got to do better. We got to tackle better.
Yeah.
So they got to tackle much better. Who is it? Looking at the Bryce Huff. Dude, did he go?
Hey, wait, Garry.
Did he go down there?
Hey, Xander. Show Xander if you're there. Show Garry the new drink that's at Wawa, if we can. There's the new drink. It's the milk carton at Wawa. It's called the milk carton drink. It's a little bitter though, Garry. So when you go to Wawa, you have to ask for it because it's special delivery because you really don't see it a lot on the shelves. So here it is right here. It's the Bryce Huff milk carton Wawa milk drink. So, okay, I mean, dude, Brady Graham had more snaps than the guy.
I know. I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna,
51 million, Garry. 51 million.
I know. He's got to show up. I saw some things I liked from Davis, of course, Carter. But they got to get more. They got to play better. The defensive line, especially those guys coming from outside. I did see Sweat some where he showed up on a few plays and everything, but they got to do better.
Nolan Smith too.
Yeah, Nolan Smith too. I want to see more of them. Linebackers, I like, I mean.
Zach Bond, what is that about?
I mean, dude is, I didn't expect that out of him. But he's a big guy that can run. The Song Gun is a big guy that can run. And so he was playing free and he's seeing things and believe in his eyes. Hey, I see a guy, they're showing me this. Go blow it up. And so he had a great game. I mean, that's a game. He might be defensive player of the week or something with that type of performance.
15 tackles, an Eagle record.
Yeah,
I find that hard to believe, but
that's hard to believe too. That's an Eagle record. But anyway, a great job. I mean, I take my hat off to them. Then on the downside, of course, the kid Quinyon Mitchell. I like the job he did competing. And that shows that you got a young kid that's able to deal with the situation, which is, I'm not backing down anybody. I'm not out here, I want to be somebody's highlight reel. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to compete. If I get beat, I'm going to get up. I'm playing the next play. You like to see that out of the kid. He's got some maturity, and I see a guy that's going to be able to play and help them right now. But they've got to get better. Avonte Maddox, come on, man. That was not a good game.
And Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, and Gardner Johnson. You're right.
Hey, Garry, is this
tackling, man? What's that?
Is this troubling to you too? They did give up 163 yards rushing, and on top of that, I thought they looked like they were out of shape in the second half, man. They did not look, because do you know that Josh Jacobs and that Packer offense was running the ball at 9.5 yards a clip?
Come on.
In the second half.
The tackling was horrible. I mean, come on. You don't have to kill a guy. Wrap the guy up. Grab something. Don't just come in with these, tackles where you go in and just colliding with a guy. No, use your arms, man. Wrap the guy up. Then you get your teammates to come and help you. You can't have a guy blowing through the defense the way they were. That's not going to get it. So they, I know that it's early in the season, but, I think with the coaching staff that they got, they're going to get, whatever. It's going to be brought to their attention. They got to play better. And so, and then, what bothered me was then looking at Dallas. I'm going, oh my goodness, man. They got the work cut out for them. I mean,
and the Niners.
You see those three teams, I was talking about, hey, one of those three teams going to the Super Bowl. I think they clearly are ahead of everybody in the conference. It's not really that close.
Detroit too, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Detroit. Maybe Detroit too. You're right. I shouldn't have spoken and left Detroit out because, and you see teams that seem like they're going to take the field. They expect to win, and they come out to compete. And I think it's going to be such an exciting year. The Eagles are going to be part of it, but nobody's giving out any trophies right now. So nobody looking for no trophies. They got to get better. They got to play better. They know they got to play better than that.
How about this, Garry? Let me, and I think you look at I tell everybody the same thing. Look, would you rather be 0-1 or 1-0? Obviously, you want to be 1-0.
That's right.
But I think you and I look at it like the first quarter poll of the season, the first 4 games. What are you looking at here? And in that first game, the turnovers, tell me what bothered you more, the turnovers, or was it the poor decision making and the late throws, because when you go back and watch
Come on.
the 22,
You
the
know you
late
can't
throws,
throw the ball. Come on, you can't do you as a quarterback. You know you cannot throw the ball over the middle late. There's too many people out there. You cannot do that. And that's why I say the emphasis of what I think Jalen takes away from this game is, look, like I said, I got the LeBron and Michael Jordan. Look, I just got to get these guys the ball, and they're going to help us win the game. I don't need to force anything. He doesn't need to force anything. Don't need any superhuman plays. Let those guys do their thing. And there's no defense that can take all these guys away. And you just feed the ball to these guys. So he doesn't need to force anything. I think that's the thing he comes out of this game with is, look, I don't, if somebody's there, if there's not anything there, then throw the ball away. We'll be all right. But if you turn the ball over, that's the only thing that's going to give the other team a chance, especially these bad teams they're going to be playing. You know, a good team, you know, you guys need to play better. But really, they don't even need to play good against some of the teams they're playing. I mean, and I know that I shouldn't be talking that way, but I'm on the side. The players shouldn't be where they got to come in and play their best every week. But I'll tell you, I look at the talent on this team. The only way they got to give away these games to some of these teams they're going to be playing. So just take care of the football. That, you know, we don't need to force a ball into traffic. He doesn't need to do that. Take what they give you and you'll be fine, because they're so much better and they got so much talent offensively. Now,
Garry,
defensively, they got to play better. Guys have to play better. So defensively, they got to take some steps up.
there was a positive, though, on Jalen's side here in that game, in the fact that, you know, they had been working on the blitz. He was the highest rated quarterback against the blitz of any of the quarterbacks in the opening week. I mean, he was 6 of 7. I know a small sample size there, but still, I mean, that's better than what we saw in 23. And that was one of the things that they wanted to kind of address. And you knew that Green Bay was going to throw a lot of blitzes. So there, if you're looking for a silver lining, there is that
that's the plus. Yeah,
he did improve on that, at least in the first week.
And you know what? He had been doing that out at practice. So we saw that, expected it, and he was able to see the blitz. He's getting rid of the football, and he's seeing, you know, he's recognizing what they're in. He did an excellent job in that area. So, you know, I mean, that is a great point, and it's a huge point, because it shows the growth from a year ago, and that this whole team has grown to where they see the blitz. And one of the throws he made outside to A.J. Brown on an out route, you know, outstanding, because he got rid of the ball early, and he needed to because of the blitz was coming, and he's able to get to the ball. It's on target. A.J. catches the football and goes for the first down. That is, you know, that's winning football when you're playing like that. So that was outstanding, and he's going in the right direction. And as we saw really in training camp, he was doing all these things in camp, seeing everything. He's recognizing things. And so I see big things ahead. And I think Jalen's going to take care of the football. And he'll see that, look, I don't have to press anything. With all this talent we got here, all I need to do is let these guys do their thing. And if he does that and gets the ball into their hands, they're going to have good things that are going to happen. Now, of course, there are going to be challenges, you know, but really, you know, there are going to be some tough teams. You know, they got those games against Dallas. Those are going to be some good games. They're going to have to play their best football. But right now, what they need to do is they need to tighten up these, you know, the fundamentals and be fundamentally sound in everything they do. The defense has got to play better. They need some people to show up defensively, mainly on that defensive line and in the secondary.
How about this, Garry? I mean, I heard Nick today talking at the press conference, and he made it very clear this was an organizational decision. And do you agree, when you watch Jalen, the first game, you saw a little bit on the defensive side, is this more of a reps issue? And it was very clear that the organization would rather have their players available than play exhibition football, but you can't really have both. If you're not going to play them, they're not going to be as prepared. Look at what we saw with Aaron Rodgers last night. He hadn't played football in 2 years, and it showed last night. He was rusty. The defense for the Eagles had to play in the exhibition season because there were so many new people. Mm-hmm. But that side looked like it was more prepared than the other side was. Where do you fall on this? Because to me, it looks like a reps issue. You're late on throws. You're holding the ball too long. Poor decisions. Going across your body, making that throw like that was absurd. I mean, I don't know what you're thinking, but does that just come with reps?
You know, I think there is some legitimacy to that, you know, that the reps are very important. And, you know, for that matter, mistakes, you know, you go ahead and get that out of your system when you're playing against, you know, you're playing in a real game where there's a competition. And you don't get that from practice. I don't care what kind of practice they got. It's not the same, you know, when you're going out there, especially the practices they had where they don't even have full tackling, you know, some of the reps. So I think that's probably a part of the rust, you know, the snap with the Jurgens and that snap, you know, that type of thing. That's where you need to get in a real game. And, you know, you have that pressure, you know, there's a certain pressure that, you know, only got somebody that plays, goes out there. They know that they have there's a certain, you know, intensity that you have in practice, whatever type of practices it is. But that's why you do need to play in the game. And they decided, though, now I understand where they're coming from. We would rather go into the game a little rusty, figuring, hey, we got time to get everything in place, as long as we come out with the W. And they came out with the W, so you can't say, well, I don't like doing it that way. But they don't have any big injuries.
And that's Nick's 4-0. Nick's 4-0 in openers.
So, I mean, I understand what he's made a decision on. And, hey, if that's the way you believe, that's fine with me. But you're going to have a little rust, though. You're going to have more rust than you would want to. But, you know, as long as you get out with the W. And they got out of there with the W, so I don't have a problem with that.
How about this, Gary? 2 last ones here for you. Saquon's on, and not that he's going to. Nobody's ever carried the ball this much, I don't think. But nobody's going to do this. But he's on pace for 404 carries. Now, there's no way. I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing here.
Correct.
However, the workload, do you concern yourself with Barkley in the workload? He carried the ball 24 times. He was an integral part a little bit. And I really loved that Devontae and AJ were decoys. And that pass down the sideline, they set that thing up for him to be able to run down the seam like that. And that was a perfect pass. So he's involved a lot, more so than I thought when it came to the offensive attack. Are you concerned about the workload?
Well, you know, I don't see him really running the ball that many times.
24.
You know, I don't see them doing that consistently. I think they will get the ball in his hands, though. And so that means, you know, in a passing with, you know, screens and pass plays where they get the ball in his hands. Because looking at them there at the training camp they had, that was one of the first things you could see Jalen and Saquon focusing on this, where they're working on their timing. They were running those, deep routes and different types of routes they're running to throwing the ball, but they were working on getting the timing of it because they knew this was going to be an integral part of the offense, because Saquon is a very good athlete. I mean, he's an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
And so you see a guy that's that big and who's as fast as he is and can catch the ball, you know, you're going to utilize that. So I think they're going to be doing different things, different ways. They're getting the ball in his hands. And also at times, you know, where he spreads out and really puts pressure on the defense, and they got a choice. You know, you're going to leave that linebacker one-on-one with him, or are you going to try to double? You know, you're so intent on doubling AJ or Devontae or somebody, you know, or you're going to leave that linebacker one-on-one on Saquon. So they really have the weapons. They put that intense pressure on you, and from week to week, you see where it's going to be tough for defenses to make the right call, because, you know, what kind of linebacker is going to run and stay with him? No, that's not going to happen. It might happen every now and then, but, you know, most linebackers, they can't run with him. You know, no. So you're basically putting that linebacker in a situation where he can give up a big play. And then also I think that if they can give him the ball in space, it's going to be tough because, I know I can tell you, I can look back and would I be wanting to cover him? No. I'm telling the safety, hey, I'm yelling to the safety, man. Look over here, man. Because this guy, with the combination of speed and size, that's a tough matchup. That's really a tough matchup. So you've got him over there. So, and I saw during the practice, they're spreading him out. They're moving him around. So they're going to be able to put him in positions where they're going to really put a lot of pressure on a defense. And then they can always shift them back and, hey, run the ball. Okay, you want to spread everybody out? Okay, we're going to run the ball on this play. So they're in that situation. So I can see them. They're going to be getting into more where it's basically check with me, where they're calling the play at the line of scrimmage and putting the defense in a situation where they can't be right.
Finally here, I know everybody because they watched the I watched the Atlanta game on Sunday because I wanted to see what Atlanta was going to do.
Yeah.
And there's no question TJ Watt and the pressure, especially internal pressure, was all over Cousins. And
yes,
that was the winning factor, I thought, that Mike Tomlin put together to beat Atlanta down in Atlanta. Here's my concern on Monday night. Outside of Zach Bond, there was no pressure from really anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nolan Smith, Huff, there was a little bit, as you said, from Sweat, because if you let Kirk Cousins sit back there and you don't perform and bring pressure and you don't put pressure on that guy, the Steelers have exceptional pass rushers.
Yeah, they do.
Exceptional scheme, and they play that old style Tampa 2 defense with great pressure. Tomlin's from that Tampa 2 with Tony Dungy. So you saw that Tampa 2 of them, what they threw at Cousins. So I say this to you. Is that a concern going into that game? Because if you don't get, and I don't care, any NFL quarterback, Gary, like look at Sam Howell last year. When you didn't get pressure on him, he had 800 yards in 2 games versus the Eagles.
Yeah.
Does that concern you going into that game Monday night, is the amount of pressure?
I think it definitely does because in that area, they really didn't come up. I mean, look at offensively, really.
414 total yards Green Bay had.
I mean, and really, there were a lot of times.
Gary, in 58 plays, they did that.
Yeah, and the thing is, they misfired because of the turf and dip times where it had nothing to do with the Eagles' defense.
Again,
where they misfired. Either the guy, he threw the ball a little behind, the guy was slipping and stuff. The guy was open. So the defense has to play considerably better. They got to play much better. They did do a good job, and that's why this is such a strange thing. They go in, they had those stops early in the game. Tremendous stops down there in the red zone. But as the game went on, there was some horrible plays where you're going like, is this tackle football? I mean, the guys just run it. I mean, so they got to get off blocks. Guys got to get off the blocks and make plays. And so they got to play much better. And so there's a challenge ahead of them. And, I mean, I don't know how really they're going to play, but they got to play better. I mean, they got to get better against the run. I mean, that running game, I mean, the guy's running up through the gut of the defense.
163.
Nobody's even touching the guy. I mean, averaging 8 yards a carry. And, I mean, that's not defense. I mean, how could it be that bad? And then you get out of there with a win. But they know they got to play much better. And it's just amazing that you had those stops at the beginning of the game where you got great defense down there in the red zone. And then ultimately you're playing that poorly where there are guys open all over the place and they're just gutting your defense where the big holes running through, the guys just running. And I mean, come on, it was horrible. I got to go back and look at it because I haven't looked at it to see who was doing what really, look at it closely. But they got to play much better.
Hey, Gary, I completely,
I got to like wash my hands of that. In fact, you go in there, you look at that film, you want to wash your hands because there was parts of it just were horrible when you talk about the run defense. I mean, like what kind of run defense? The running backs just full stride, untouched. You're going like, wait a minute, are they trying to tackle him? So guys got to get off blocks. They got to play much better. And they're very fortunate they got out with the W. That cleans everything up, is that you get out with the W, but they know they got to play better. And I think Jalen's going to play. He knows that he'll go from now on. He's got all the talent. You don't need to force anything. Take what they give you, and you can put up a 40 spot. Pretty simple. I mean, because they really they would have scored 40 points if they were taking care of the ball. So.
Hey, Garry, finally here, I want to leave you with this. I know that you do a lot of stuff with the NFL Alumni Association, and I'm just curious what you thought of that football field that they put the players on, man. I mean, it looked like the Super Bowl of 23 when the Eagles were playing against the Chiefs. I mean, just your takeaway on what you saw with those guys. I mean, you want to have a good showing, but Jesus criminy, man, you don't put NFL guys on a soccer field. Soccer dudes are not built like NFL guys.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what it is that you have, because going into the game, I'm going like, why do I feel like the turf is going to be messed up?
I did too.
Why am I feeling like this? Because they're going out of the country. Whoever, somebody dropped something somewhere where the turf, and right away, immediately guys start slipping all over the place. So that's something that they got to tighten up. I don't know where, the ball's been dropped at, but somewhere in there, something is awry with why you have all these surfaces like that. And much like the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and you hate to see that because, guys can get hurt, and, you don't want it to cost somebody a game either, but it really, who knows, maybe in the long run, it end up hurting the Packers more than the Eagles.
But Garry, it makes the product look sloppy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was total negative. And you're going like, where are they missing it at?
Yeah.
Like,
are you really telling me the local ground crew guys are better than the National Football League ground guys? I find that hard to believe.
It makes you think, well, they need to send some NFL guys down there. And maybe they got to go a month ahead to get the turf right. Because you don't want somebody to get hurt because of that, or if it costs somebody a game, which, and it doesn't look good where you got everybody slipping. That doesn't look good. But going into it, I'm going like, why am I feeling like the turf is going to be horrible? And boom, time the game starts, see 3 guys start slipping. You're going like, man, what is going on? Why is this got to happen? They got to get some kind of answer to that, And
it looked like Washington, D.C., the federal government had saying what kind of field it was. Because if they have anything to do with it, nothing will happen.
They could botch up things. My goodness. Don't let the government have it, man.
Absolutely. That's what it looked like. Hey, when they say WIC and government check, that was a government field.
Yeah, you're right. That was a government field. The thing is, I felt bad why am I feeling that this turf is going to be bad?
I know. I go, there's no way. And it was raining, and I went, forget it. This thing's going to be a train wreck. This thing's a train wreck. Garry, thank you so much, my friend.
All right. Hey, have a good one.
You got it. That's Garry Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. By the way, Xander, we missed some super chats. Guys were super chatting during the